Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another bar by bar analysis here on my channel. Today is March 21st, 2022. I hope all of you had a good weekend. I was really looking forward to trading today and starting off the week strong. Unfortunately, today was a little bit of a slower day. It seemed like it was very hard to find some setups. I posted a live trade on my channel based on a trade I took at market open, and I'll go ahead and go through that analysis as I saw it. But other than that, I mean, there were some trades that left without me. There were aggressive setups. It was kind of a hard day to trade. So hopefully tomorrow's better. But regardless, we'll go through this bar by bar analysis the way we usually do, marking overnight highs and lows for the start of the day here. So I came in and I marked my level of resistance and support as I normally do. Um, Clear uptrend at play. I didn't draw it in right away, but I did see it right off the bat. And I came in around 8, what time was it? Like 8:10, 8:05. I kind of saw this uptrend start. We have a channel that's working up. We have short-term trend down. We have a new low with a first entry short, second entry short failure. It would have been nice if we had a little bit more of a bullish signal bar, but I was comfortable taking this trade based on the video that I posted and the analysis that I had. So I won't talk about that one too much. I encourage you guys to watch it though. I want to try and do more of those live trades more frequently. Um, I think it helps seeing literally in the moment, live as it can get analysis because it is live trading. So market opens. I end up scalping for six ticks. Runner gets stopped out, and then market continues to push higher. But unfortunately, I couldn't catch any runner there. Now, as the day goes on, we're coming up on these overnight highs. No trades. We're not close to the EMA. We're not close to our support level of our channel. So prices continue to push up. Um, let's see where prices really start to climb. We have a short-term trend with a break, new high. And then prices come back down to EMA. Also, prices looking to push back into this trading range that we could potentially be looking at for the day. But prices come above, shoot above overnight highs, far from EMA. We are looking for a pullback, but we're not looking to take any counter trades. We have a new high, first entry long, looking for a second entry long, potentially a failure. There's the second entry long failure. So, yeah, new high, first entry long, second entry long, failure back down into the trading range. This was an aggressive one that I could see people taking. I kind of wanted more of I wanted a better signal bar. That's kind of what I was waiting for. So I wasn't looking to enter anything just yet. Prices continue up before turning back. This is the signal bar that I liked. Now I didn't take this trade. This one I believe left without me. But when prices tried ticking up and then closed below EMA, we're looking to head back down into this below these overnight highs. If you extend the range a little bit farther, if you extend this channel a little bit farther, you see prices break. And that's what made this trade a little bit aggressive. It wasn't as clear cut as I thought. And I thought we could potentially look at a second entry long. I think at this time I was probably thinking we could see a higher low. Um, but I wasn't really paying attention too much. When I kind of go back and look at it like this, I could see, yeah, we had new high, first entry long, prices come all the way back down, second entry long failure, and people's stops are one tick below this signal bar here. So if you were going to enter, you might want to enter either on this tick or one tick below so that you catch that stop and um, and you get people out of their trades going long. So that was one aggressive setup. We continue down, and what do we have? We have short-term trends starting to form. And we had a break of this overall uptrend looking for a new high. But if prices continue to push down, which they do far from EMA, we can kind of forget about trying to reach this new extreme again. We have to just ride the market. If the market is going to continue pushing down and we don't get that break and new high like we usually do, we just have to watch the market go. And as we continue to make new lows here, we look at extending this downtrend a little bit, right? We want to try and incorporate as much price action as we can within this channel. And prices continue down, bit of an overshoot, and overshoot tends to generate momentum to the opposite end of the channel. So it's just something to consider. But again, looking to take no trades. Wasn't really interested in anything here. We're too far from EMA. Prices are holding in this channel neatly, but still not finding anything I like. We have what could potentially be a short-term trend up with a new low first entry short, and that's a new low, so really got nothing in there. Really want to see how prices are going to react here at EMA. We have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. I'd be interested in seeing a second entry long failure. Something like that play out is kind of what I see. We also have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. The this short-term trend is moving with a break new low. I'm hesitant to go low after this downtrend played out, but at the same time, if prices hold at EMA, I'd consider. But it's too early, I think, to go short. You're too far from EMA. It does work out for some people. I guess if some people saw this big move, prices kind of working closer to the EMA, but not quite getting there. I could see people. I didn't see it in the moment, but that second entry short, some people might aggressively take that. I just don't like that prices are kind of holding around here at 200 EMA. If you have room to the bottom here, which it looks like you might have a little bit of space, 4.8 to 4.6. You might have 2 points worth of space. Some people might take that. Um, some other people might see something like measured move. Let's see if I can move this over a little bit. Yeah, maybe a continuation down to the lows. So I could see people taking that aggressive trade if you were able to analyze that in the moment. Prices continue to push down, and as they continue to push down, we have to recognize, okay, we could have a bigger trend at play. We could have a bigger trend at play. We want to incorporate the prices as neatly as we can. I know it's kind of hard to do, but that's a tentative channel that you can have. Still far from EMA. If we had a setup here at the channel, at the top of this channel, it could be considered an aggressive trade to take, but I'm not seeing anything right now. We have short-term trend working up with a first entry short and prices pull back up. Now, for full transparency here, I was looking at new low first entry short for prices to come back up to the EMA and take a second entry short. I took this trade. I saw it as a comfortable trade. Still trying to figure out where this short-term trend line was, because once we start to make new lows, we can get rid of, let's see if I can, we can get rid of that one. Short-term trend kind of working up like that. And see, when you see post analysis, you have short-term trend working up with a break attempt to make a new high and then pushes back. It's holding at the channel, but you don't really have that channel in place before. So prices continue to work down. We have a break of this short-term channel looking for a new low. First entry short, and this is the first attempt to go low. Um, Prices come back up, second entry short. I entered this, and then immediately within like a second or two got stopped out. The one thing I neglected to see is we do have a short-term trend, and it's not even neglected to see, to be honest. I saw we had this short-term trend, but I didn't have a trade since the morning, and I was getting antsy. It was already 9:17, so about 45 minutes had gone by, and I was kind of bummed that I couldn't catch anything here. So I guess there was a little bit of a fear of missing out. There was a short-term trend here in play. We had a break of the short-term trend and new high. This was really the bar that I should have entered on, and I really wasn't paying attention too well at the time because I got kind of bummed out trying to figure out what went wrong here. New low, first entry short, second entry short, failure, comes back up above EMA, makes this new high. Some people could consider this a new low with the first entry short, second entry short. This was the bar you could have re-entered on, if anything. You still have room to the lows here after this long downtrend with prices holding well below EMA. We can anticipate prices to keep moving down to the overnight lows. So people would have scalped out on that. The one thing that we have to start mentioning or start recognizing as well is as prices continue to break and make new lows, it's hard to find like a downtrend that looks like this, right? Because it's too wide. It's too wide. So some people could consider this the trend, and you wouldn't necessarily be wrong. I mean, that could be a trend, but what I started to see was more of like a spike in channel start to form. So this is like spike 90-degree almost price actions working down, and then we start to see something like this happen. And I have to try and incorporate as much of the prices as I can, but prices try and hold neatly within here after we had this move down. And this channel is probably something more like break new low. As we continue to break new lows, we kind of forget about this and we start focusing on this channel that's working down. New low, first entry short. Prices come back up to the EMA. That is a first entry short, second entry short, but terrible signal bar. And by this time, I was kind of worried because prices were starting to stack up just a little bit. Um, but at the same time, prices weren't pushing above the EMA. So as we continue to push lower, we can't look for a reversal. We have to just acknowledge, hey, the market's going to continue pushing down. And where's our price target? It's going to be at these overnight lows. That's going to be our first target. We have a new low, first entry short, second entry short failure. Finishes very bullish. I Some people could try and go long there, but I don't. I just, prices are holding below EMA. I'm not trying to go long against that. If the trend's working down, I'm not going to fight it. Uh, the trigger doesn't. The entry doesn't trigger for people, and prices immediately reverse. You have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. Terrible signal bar. If you have that terrible signal bar, the next thing you could be looking for is a lower high. So if you don't get that second entry short off the bat, look for that lower high and see if it gives it to you. At the same time, that's kind of what I was looking for here is once I missed out on this trade, I thought, or when prices reversed here from the top of this channel, I thought, okay, well, I'll take a lower high. Didn't get it here. Terrible signal bar here. I thought, okay, I'll still take a lower high if I get it. Prices come back up to the EMA. The signal bar is way too big. If you were to try and consider this a lower high, 18 ticks, it's just not worth the risk for me, especially with the prices kind of starting to overlap a bit. So prices continue to push down. We have a new high here. Some people could say this is a new high, first entry long, looking for a second entry long trigger. But the failure, again, not looking to go short on this signal bar. Signal bar finished bullish. Um, Prices continue to chop up, and that's a lost cause at this point. Breaks the channel. We have a short-term trend working up. Prices push above EMA. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, well, prices could reverse. I would like a first entry short, second entry short failure back to the long side. Or if we can get a second entry long to set up, that would be great. This short-term channel has the break attempt to make expecting it to make a new low, but if prices hold above EMA, then I'm just going to forget that mentality. And as we get a strong push here, I'm thinking, okay, we could get our failed second entry short here. We have new low, first entry short down to the EMA. Prices push up, looking for that second entry short to come back. Prices to come back down to the EMA and get that failed second entry short, and we just don't get it. Prices continue to kind of push up here. This short-term trend was still in play. We have a break of that short-term trend to make a new high. So this short-term trend has supposedly played out. But if prices continue to push higher, we could have a bigger trend. Second entry short triggers way up here. We're not trying to trade counter trend. We're not close to EMA. Not looking to trade that. And prices come back down and immediately push back up. So when that happens, we got to start drawing our bigger trends. And you see that one fits nicely. First, second, third touch. Um, I guess some people could argue going long on this bar because you're bouncing off of a key entry point. I just didn't like it because we were so far from EMA. And when prices are far from EMA, some crazy things happen, and I just wasn't for it. So I sat on my hands and I didn't make any trades here. I didn't make any trades for the rest of the day if I remember correctly, but prices continue to push up, not close to EMA. Where are we heading? We're heading back to the overnight highs. We didn't quite make it to the overnight lows, so that's showing, hey, we have some bullish momentum in play here. Prices holding strongly above EMA. Prices could continue to push up. We have a new high here with a first entry long, and I was looking for a second entry long. We have a break of this channel as well as a short-term trend working um, down here. And this was if prices triggered above this bar, this would be a second entry long. I didn't like the signal bar though, and we had the short-term trend in play. And I was just thinking back to this trade that I took is this short-term trend was in play and I forced a trade there. I don't want to try forcing a trade here. Um, Prices are working down. We have another signal bar that forms if prices trigger above this as a second entry long. I just didn't like the signal bar, and I just didn't really know what was happening just yet. But what could we anticipate? We have a confirmed channel with a break attempt to make a new high. There's the trigger. Triggers above this signal bar, which I didn't like. Some people could have entered on this bar, but again, the way I saw it is we had a short-term trend. That's the break. I thought we're going to have an attempt to make a new low here before we push up, but we don't. Prices continue to push up. It's an aggressive trade that I'll mark for some people, but I just didn't see it that way. I was thinking, okay, well, I missed that second entry long, but I'll consider a higher low. If we can get a nice signal bar, if prices come back to EMA, get a nice higher low, I'll enter on that signal bar. Didn't get anything. Um, Prices come back down to EMA, and this was the signal bar that just shot up. It's way too big. You know, you can't, it's 25 ticks. You can't be entering the top over here. It would have been nice to have a bullish bar that was a lot smaller. My stop would have gone one tick below these three bars right here, and I was fairly confident. You know, we're looking for that new high. Our price targets overnight highs. That's where I want to go. Um, that's where I was anticipating prices were going to go, and they did, but the bar was just way too big. So prices come back up. They find a price target of overnight highs and immediately reject and come back down to EMA. And so at this point, I'm thinking, well, prices are still holding above EMA. And they didn't make it. They didn't quite make it to the overnight lows, so we can continue to push higher. I'd consider a higher low, as aggressive as that was, as that sounds. And that's just because I didn't have another trade really. I lost this trade, and just kind of beating myself up over missing some of these entries, but there was nothing I can do. This was a higher low, but the bar was too big, 18 ticks. I wasn't looking to go long. Still hesitant of the overnight highs. We had the channel with a break and new high, so technically the uptrend has played out, and that was the thought process. Prices continue up. We had a new low. Technically, that's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, but then I also saw this is a new low, first entry short, second entry short here at the top, but I'm just not a fan of trading counter trade or counter trend trading, even if we are at the overnight highs here. Prices would have ticked down, would have got some people in, and it would have reversed and stopped people out. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like that. I don't like taking the trade, even if it is at an overnight high there. I'm just not a fan. I knew prices were going to continue to go up, and that's just the way I saw it. Prices come back down. At this point, I see a double top, so that resets the count. I'd consider a second entry long, but at this time, I was even considering a higher low if we just got something good at the EMA, but these signal bars are just way too big. This one forms not interested in going long. At this point, we have a little bit of, and it seems like prices are consolidating a bit here at the top. We have overlapping bars before reverses down. New high, first entry long, second entry long. If there was a trigger above this bar, and there was, terrible signal bar, you're not looking to go long there. Now, as prices kind of trade along here, I start to see potentially some sort of trading range. I don't know exactly where it's at yet, but I just see prices kind of, they're when prices close near EMA, we're anticipating they push back strongly above EMA, and um, there's just a little bit of confusion in exactly what's going on. It's kind of hard to find what trends there are as well. I think in the moment I was looking at something like this, right? Like before I had this range in play, I saw like prices doing something like that. I could see some people arguing, well, we could have another um, channel, something like this working up, but I just wasn't sure. And as prices were chopping along, overlapping bars, I'm like, I just got to sit on my hands and wait it out. So again, prices come back down to EMA. We anticipate it's going to keep pushing higher, and it doesn't. Overlapping bars comes back down, and now we start seeing prices kind of above EMA, slightly below, above, coming back down below. And around this time, I thought, okay, well, if we push above the EMA one more time, I know for sure we're starting to deal with a range. And that's exactly what happens as prices start to push up, and I start saying, okay, well, prices are consolidating a bit. I'm going to draw in my range to incorporate as much price action as I can. Overlapping bars, EMA is starting to flatten out a little bit, and you see it holds in the middle of this range that I have drawn in. Um, Trying to incorporate touches, holding in the middle there. New low, first entry short, prices come up. Second entry short here at the top with a we have overnight highs as well as the resistance level of this trading range with prices moving up and down. This is an aggressive one I didn't take, but I could see how people could take something like this as new low, first entry short, second entry short, anticipating for prices to pull back down below the EMA down to the opposite side of the trading range. People would have been in this trade. A little bit of a scare with a reverse coming up, and then prices come back down, and you would have gotten the scalp there. So by this point, I get rid of the confusion. I don't want any confusing markings on my channel. Or I'm sorry, on my chart here. We had short-term trend moving up as well with a break and new high, and that was that second entry. So I didn't take it. Um, and at the same time, prices were moving so slowly. So it's a lot harder to analyze when you're absolutely in that moment. But when I go back and look at it, I see, yeah, that probably would have been a trade off overnight highs as well as a resistance level with many touches here at the top. Prices continue to push back down. We have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. At this point, I mean, I was even considering second entry long failure. If prices ticked up, held at EMA, and came back down, I probably would have considered something, but nothing set up there. Again, first high, new high, first entry long, looking for a second entry long off the bottom here, but terrible signal bar. There's that second entry long failure, but not a good signal bar. And then by this time, I'm like, I don't want to go low. I don't want to go short into the lows here. So we continue the new low. First entry short, prices come back up, shoot above EMA. I'm sorry, yeah, above EMA and above overnight highs and level of resistance. Terrible signal bar to go short on. And by this time, I see, okay, we probably have some sort of bullish imbalance, right? We traded up into the range. We can anticipate possibly trading up and out of the range. Um, but didn't get that. Prices pulled back down into this little range that we had, and then immediately we get this gigantic 35 tick bearish bar that closes down here at the lows. And by this time it's 11:30. I'm not sure. That's when Powell was speaking, so that's probably makes sense why we had such a big bar at that time. News came out and prices started to push down. And by this time I was done trading for the day, and that's where I'll stop the analysis. 11:30, but by no surprise, prices push back down into this um, range that we have drawn in. Prices were consolidating at the top before we had a failed breakout back down below, prices holding below EMA. And as I haven't seen any of this yet, but as prices continue down, I'm looking for trades here at the EMA. We have a new low, uh, literally no way to enter this. Um, you can't really go long. You have to see how prices react at EMA. Prices continue to go. So new low, first entry short, second entry short, but we're above EMA. Price is kind of consolidating a bit. I'd be hesitant to go short here. It does work for some people, and our price target's here at the bottom of the trading range. And that's exactly where prices go. So no surprise, prices are consolidating here at the bottom, reacting to these overnight lows before potentially pushing back up, or we continue down. So and that's exactly what happens. Prices continue down, and that's pretty much it. I'm not going to analyze the rest here, but that was kind of how I saw the day. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best day. I think I finished break even, or I might have been red just a little bit because of where my stop was. But overall, when I go back and analyze, it was kind of hard to enter some, kind of hard to see some other trades. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and you still got something out of it. I recommend doing the same thing, is marking up your charts and then afterwards go back and learn your losses, see how to avoid something like that from happening again, because that was pretty clear to see on that loss that I had. Is there was a short-term trend up. I saw these stems, um, but I just saw how big of a bearish push this was, and I was so confident we were going to continue to go lower, and we did, but I just entered a little bit too early. So anyway, if you enjoy this video, please subscribe, please leave a like, turn on post notifications. Give me a comment. Let me know if this is helping you at all. Help me become a better trader by calling me out on some things. If you see that I didn't say something correctly, or if you saw the chart differently than I did, then go ahead and let me know, because I'm here to learn as well. But make sure you guys take the chance to see my live trades. I'm gonna just post those, and the only way that you guys are gonna be able to see that is if you're subscribed and you have those post notifications on. Otherwise, yeah, it's really up to you. But again, appreciate you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. See you.